Hi, everybody. You're listening to the Oneness Junkie podcast, hosted by me, Lydia Smith, a self-proclaimed Oneness Junkie. Oneness Junkie is a place to be inspired, encouraged, and supported. Learn from the individuals who are working to make the world a better place. Let's meet today's guest. Hello, everyone. It's Lydia with the Oneness Junkie podcast and YouTube channel. And today I'm excited to introduce you to our next guest. I'm here with Luca Leonti. Hi, Luca.
Hi, Lydia. Thanks for having me today.
I'm so glad to have you. I love introducing new people to the audience, and I hope they enjoy your story because I sure did when I read it online. So will you take a moment and introduce yourself and a little background about you?
Of course. So my name is Luca. I grew up in the south of France to a French mom and Italian dad. And I spent most of my childhood down there. And when I was a teenager, I took an interest in health and fitness because I struggled with my body image. I was bullied a lot at school and at home, but at home it was not so much the bullying like you would think. It's more, like the commentary that your parents can make sometimes, like not you didn't do this thing right, or why are you wearing this color shirt? It's too bright. That kind of like more
subtle. They were subtle.
yeah, subtle bullying like this. Or um, and then after years of this, I developed a lack of confidence, and I felt so alone because I felt like there was nobody I could talk to, because I was afraid of being judged and being bullied all the time at school, in my social circle, at home. And really what I wanted to do is to be a cool kid like my cousins, like my brother. I wanted to have muscles, to be stronger. Ironically, I'm the smallest in my family, the skinniest in my family. So I just wanted, to have that confidence, and I wanted to be liked and be loved, because this is what we all want. Ultimately, we want to be seen, acknowledged, and loved. So what I started doing is I spent a lot of time reading on nutrition books and going to the gym, and eat. I was obsessed with what I was eating, when I was eating. Anything I could do to for my body to get bigger. And so I got some results. Obviously, after a lot of effort, I did get some results. But one, it didn't last, and two, I was still not happy. And so this led me to feeling really depressed and unhappy, and I was constantly comparing myself to others because that's the way I only knew, growing up. So that really took a toll on me, and I just wanted to change things out of pure willpower at the time because I didn't know any better. And again, it never worked, or I would get results for a few months, and then I would like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. That was kind of my journey for a long time. And then on top of that, I was just so hard on myself for not succeeding. It caused me to hit rock bottom so many times, and I was so unhappy. I would hurting, and I would find myself crying all the times.
Just feeling helpless, right?
Yeah, just feeling helpless. Sorry, for just a second, I just went back there for
no, it's okay. I'm just saying, you're trying to control things,
exactly.
And you feel helpless because we think we can be in control of ourselves, and it's exhausting.
Totally, yes. Because I didn't know at the time that there was nothing wrong with me. I was trying to fix something that I couldn't because there's nothing wrong with me, and then I can't control other people's expectations or the way they saw me.
Right.
At the time.
And there's no freedom in that, right?
Exactly. So so I was hurting a lot. I felt super lonely. I had no support system, really, just that I could really go and confide in. Um, and I just was not happy where I was in life. So then my internal dialogue became, I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not smart. And when I went to the doctor, they suggested, the doctor suggested that I start medication. And I really put a stop in my track, and I was like, whoa, no,
Wait, let me ask you a question. Medication for like
Yes.
depression or medication for like some health like
No,
a health
no, for depression.
depression? Okay.
And I looked at her and I said no. Because I had a very negative view of having to take medication for being depressed.
Yeah.
Like you see in the movies, then for me it equaled that I would be less energetic than for me it just equaled that really something was wrong with me, and then I didn't want to become, in
What-
French we say, a vegetable.
Yeah.
I didn't want to become a vegetable.
Like numb
Yeah, numb
to
to everything
living.
else. Yeah, because I was
Yeah.
already the way I was living, so I didn't want to do this anymore. Um, and so that's really when I decided that I needed to do something different, and I could not live like this anymore because I was so miserable.
Can
Uh,
I ask you like how old were you at this time?
I was early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was actually so at that time I already moved to the US. Um, so I moved to the US after I graduated from college.
Yeah.
And really I didn't have a plan. I just wanted to I graduated from college in France and I was like, I do not know what I want to do. I have no clue, and I graduated with a bachelor in um British and American studies.
Wow. I don't even know what the traditional American studies
Basically it
are.
was all about British and American civilization, literature. um so just because I love speaking English, I've been wanting to come to the US for a long time. And so since I had no clue what I wanted to do, I just kept going into speaking English. And then when I graduated, I still did not know what I wanted to do. And basically, the major that I chose at the time, um, m- the thing that I could do was teaching.
Right.
And I said, I don't want to teach. I already spent 20 years in school. I don't want to spend another 30 in school, right?
I
Uh,
understand.
and so funny because I moved to the US and I became a teacher, a preschool teacher.
You learn
Uh,
how to survive, right?
Exactly. But I actually loved it. I was a teacher for 10 years, preschool level. So anywhere from actually babies to 3, that's kind of my preferred age group. Um, so that was really fun.
That's so neat. It's like the beginning stages, like of planting a seed in a child. Like you can really
Hmm.
influence them, right? In their those formative years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 0 to 7 is really the most important time frame in anybody's
Yeah.
life, and this is where whatever people tell you at that time or how they treat you, this is how you're going to carry for the rest of your life until you know better, until you do some healing work. So yes, that's exactly
Yeah.
the time frame that that got me stuck for a long time.
Yeah. So tell us about some of the overcoming, like you're a teacher at this point. Where are you in your mind in your journey of your body and your weight and everything?
So at that time, so after I refused being on medication, I still kept going with therapy, but I also started to learn about coaching, and I became a coach. I So one of my friends was always coming to me for questions and support, and I was always helping her. And she said, "You should become a coach." And I was like, "No, I don't even know what that is."
Yeah.
But one day I was on the computer for something totally different. At the time, I was using Meetup.com,
I
where
know
you
what
can
that is. Yeah, I
meet
have a
people,
couple
right?
groups myself. Yeah.
So I was on that website, and there was this meetup that showed up for coaching. And it happened to be like the next day or like really soon, and I was like, oh, that's so interesting. It's a sign. So I clicked on it. I meet up with one of the coaches at the time and had this amazing conversation, and and I told myself, I want to be like that guy. And so I signed up for the program. It was a year-long program, very intensive. It was once a month. I would go in person and learn how to be a coach, but also be coach for a whole weekend. Then I had my own coach for the whole year, and then the people that were in program with me, we all coach each other.
Yeah.
So very intense.
Going through
And
the journey yourself.
exactly, and I learned so much. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much um, as to why I was stuck, and what brought me to the point. It was just like so many realization again, like, wow, none of that is my fault. It's people just put the expectation on me or their fear on me, and then because I was so young, And really at that time, when you're like, 0 to 7, your only goal is you want to be loved by your parents. Whatever they say, you just take it for granted. Oh my gosh, like my dad didn't like it when, I don't know, I
Yeah,
said,
XYZ.
yeah, XYZ, he got really mad. Uh-oh, I better not do this next time. Or I don't know, somebody
Yeah,
else
I
judged
mean,
me because I was wearing this shirt, or um oh man, whenever I'm myself and I'm expressive and I'm happy, people make a comment about it, so I better just start shutting down. So then it
yeah.
just became of, I cannot be who I am in this world, and so I started isolating myself. I would just like live in my bedroom. That's basically what I did. And then my parents were working all day, so I would not see them all day. They would leave super early in the morning, come back late at night, and I would go to school and just be by myself a lot of time. Um, and then we come back at night, and again, it's just like, well, you did this wrong, and you're not supposed to do this and that. And my dad, especially my dad, maybe because an older generation was not very open to talking. It was like his way or the highway. And then, yeah, the dinner table, it was like he came home and he was eating and watching TV, and then we could not interrupt him. So
Yeah.
the silence kept going. So I did learn a lot, and through the work that I've done myself, like I've been able to forgive him. And now our relationship is totally different. We
Hmm.
talk on the phone at least twice a week, and the dynamic has totally changed.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but it was your work that you had to do. I wanted to interject
mhm,
earlier when you were sharing and just let you know that I understand. I have a similar type of life growing up, and it's these things get etched in your head, and then it takes a lot to disrupt the neuro connections that are programmed from the repetition. But one of the repetitive things my dad used to always say, and I'm sharing this to help the listeners
of course.
to understand what I did to transform it. Okay. So he used to say, don't eat that. You're going to be as big as the side of the house. And it was like a repetitive comment if he saw us eating something. So just the concept of it's not okay to eat, like the idea of eating and is bad is the one message. And
Hmm.
then who knows what I was eating? It was just, it was always a comment. The other thing he used to say repetitively is because I was the last child, I was the fourth child of four girls. And so he kind of said this like not just to his wife, but to his four girls. Subsequently, I'm going to say that part of my healing process was to recognize he thought he was protecting me and warning me of the way the world really is and that you should be careful. Like he thought it was a helpful contribution to my life. But as me, I was the youngest and I had the mouth and I'm not afraid. I'm very courageous. And I would talk back to him and I
Hmm.
would say, well, you're eating it. And this is his response. He would say, well, I'm not running for Congress or looking for a husband. And my
Hmm.
little 9-year-old brain was like, I'm not looking for a husband either. I'm 9 years old. But
Of
what
course.
is that implanting in my head as a female? Like, you
Hmm.
can't have a big ass and get a husband. Like it's just a message. It was his message. You were saying before, people are just projecting their
Hmm.
fears, their concerns, what he liked. Maybe he didn't like a big ass on a woman, but there are people who are
Yeah.
okay with that. So I'm just saying, I mean, like Kim Kardashian's really popular. I
That's
grew
true.
up before Kim Kardashian, so maybe my life would have been different if I would have grown up after
In that time
2000.
frame, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I'm just saying that these things are implanted, but how do you transform them is by recognizing where they come from, right?
Yep.
Why is that person saying that? And is it as mean-spirited as you're taking it, or is it just that that's his negativity and anger that he lives with, that he's projecting onto you. So when you learn how to disassociate yourself from the comments, that's when the healing and that forgiveness, right? You can't even go to forgiveness until you have understanding, right?
Absolutely. At first, you need to be aware of what's going on. And that could be, through talking to other people or coaching, therapy. There are many modalities, or even also alternative modalities. And then once you're aware, like, oh my gosh, wow, this is what happened. But really, what's most important is the meaning you give it. So for me, my
and
meaning,
the power, not only the meaning, but the power you give it in your life.
Yeah, that comes. Yeah, so it's together. So for me, all those reflections and everything that people would say to me in my head was, oh my gosh, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough. My mom once told me I would never find a girlfriend. Sometimes it was really mean. And so guess what? I never had a girlfriend for the longest time. Like, yes, I would go on I would be dating, but not a long-term relationship, because in my head was like, oh, somebody's gonna quit me. I mean, it's gonna
leave you.
Yeah, leave me because I'm not lovable.
Right.
Because in her head I was too much of a perfectionist. But but then now looking back, I'm like, yeah, but I learned that from you guys. you know um so yeah, it's just it's a lot of vulnerability to heal. It's a lot of courage, because you have to face, you have to not necessarily relive what happened in the past, but you need to be able to shine a light on everything that happened in the past and what you made it mean, so that you can heal it, so that you can make, like you said, you can make the choice. Do I want to focus on this right now? What is this contributing to my life right now? Or do I want to choose something else?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yesterday on a podcast conversation, we were talking about, really there's two options. You can choose suffering, which is an option, like totally possible. You can do that. Or the other opposite of suffering is like joy and not suffering. So, you get to choose. Like, that's what free will is. You get to choose. What do you want to do? You want to suffer, or you want to be in joy? And so it's just a mindset, right?
exactly.
And you identify as a mindset coach, which is what your title says. So yeah, that's important. One of the things I wanted to tell you that I thought was good about what you said is that when you went to that meetup, you saw that guy and you said, I want to be like that. And so I just highly recommend that people choose coaches that have what they want. Correct. That are exhibiting what they are looking to achieve and the things that they've successfully achieved, because everybody wants to identify as a coach and has something to offer. And I think people do have something to offer, but you want to find a coach who offers what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's totally true. And also, so one of my mentors used to say that whatever you can see in somebody is present in yourself. Because if you was not in yourself, then you wouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
when you relate with somebody, it's because like, even though you might not know consciously, but unconsciously, you just feel it in your soul that the same results are available for yourself as well.
That's good. And you're speaking on it from a positive perspective, but that actually is also the case. Yes. When you complain about what other people have, like, God, they're such a perfectionist. What is their problem? Like, that's an unidentified aspect of you. And you have to ask yourself, well, where am I? What area of my life am I a perfectionist? And why is he irritating me so much?
Yes, exactly. It's totally true. Projection works both ways.
Yes. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about how you help people.
All right. So my thing, so just because that's the way my journey went, is I had to do a lot of self-care work. Learn how to love myself, learn how to forgive myself, how to be compassionate with myself. So this message that I want to help others with is, nothing is wrong with you. We just need to reprogram your mind and the way you think about yourself. And so a lot of the work that I do is really transforming, like you said earlier, the identity. What is your current identity and where did the identity comes from? So then we talk about this, and I have some tools that my client can use to really dig deep, because as long as we need to really bring everything up to the surface. It's just like an iceberg. Like your actions, like 5% of the iceberg, and then it's determined by the 95% that's under the water.
Yeah.
So we really need to dig into this iceberg under the water. Why do you do the things you do? Who taught you this? And then start to rewire your brain that way. Like, oh, actually, I'm very likable and I'm very extroverted. Um, let's give the power back to my parents. My parents thought of me this way, but that's not who I am. I am Luca, and I'm so energetic, and I have so much energy, and I love to talk to people, and I love to be surrounded by people. But I spent the first 25 years of my life being alone. That was not me. So, and the only way that I can step into my real power is by taking care of myself. It's by giving myself what I need. So I know that I need, every day I need to start my day with meditation. I need to start my day with some type of exercise, um, some affirmations, some movement. For me, that's the best way to start my day. And then what, like a tank of gas, you drive your car and then you have to replenish your gas tank at some point, right? What you need is really to be so aware of what you need time, in each period of your day to be able to give yourself that. If I feel sad, okay, or if I'm tired, what do I need right now? And so a lot of people, like we first, the most common things that I come upon in my coaching is that people just want to get rid of the negative emotions, get rid of the negative feelings. Hey, Luca, how do I stop this from happening? I don't want to feel negative. I don't want to be negative. But the thing that we need to understand is that those feelings are part of being human. You cannot stop them from happening. You can choose your answer to them. You can choose what you're going to do to how you're going to react to that, but you cannot stop them. So it's really a work to embracing again. It's really embracing your journey of where you are right now. It's okay to feel sad, but before when I was sad, I would eat. That was my way of coping. Now when I'm sad, I go out for a walk, or I call a friend, or I go snuggle with my dog. Um, and then so that's what I do as a mindset coach. It's really for me, it's just having like a light and just like, okay, this area is a little dark right now, let's put some light on it, and let's examine let's go see, let's go in a cave together and let's just do some cleanup, and just so there's like another metaphor. It's like we have 7 rooms in our heads. That's, I don't know if you've heard of this metaphor before.
Mhm.
It's just like we have several rooms, and so some of them are lit up and some of them are not lit up yet. And so you just go and explore, and there's always a room that you can go in and turn on. We are so much more than what labels people put on us. And I think it's it's not an easy work. We have to be honest. But it's also the beauty of it, because now my life is completely different. Like for once, who would knew that I would be talking to my dad, twice a week? Who would knew that? And it's not like just like how's the weather. It's deep conversations that never in a million years I thought I would have. And it's from me doing my own healing. And even since then, now I know about his past and his journey, and he never opened up before. And now it makes even more sense for me. And I was like, oh wow, I had no clue this was the childhood he had. And now so me being open invites him to be open. And
Right.
so it's just so beautiful. Even for the first time in, how long have I been here? Almost 20 years. Recently, for the first time in 20 years, he said, I want to come and visit you. I want to come and, spend time with you at your house in the States. My dad wouldn't even like, I know he lives in France. He wouldn't even go to Italy, which is like 2 hours away. He never wanted to get out of the
He's
country.
really missing out for sure.
Yeah, but like you said earlier, I had at one point like our relationship got really bad, especially after my mom passed away. And I told you like 7 years later, now I know, because we were both grieving, we were both really sad. So a lot of nastiness came out of the two of us.
Your anger
Anger, yeah,
was misdirected at the people we love, right?
exactly. And so I had to be very clear with them one day. So my way of communicating at the time with, especially with my parents, was through writing letters. So again, because we never talked at home, so I never learned how to express myself really in a way uh, that was
Well, and you kind of thought that they weren't interested in
mhm,
talking, right? Because they didn't foster that in your home.
exactly,
But really what you probably learned by now with this new relationship is that they didn't know how. So you
exactly.
kind of brought the how to them that they didn't have. And I only know that cuz that was my case with my mom and my family. I was the communicator, so I had to bring it back home.
Yeah, not totally. And then is yeah, just so I often find myself calling myself um like I broke the generational patterns, which is so important. People, especially now generations right now, where there is so much more, we know so much more about taking care of ourselves in a way that just going to the spa or therapy. There are other ways to take care of ourselves. Um, what was I going to say? So yeah, so I just
Yeah, we
wrote
were
him
just
a letter.
talking about breaking
Yeah,
generational trauma and like
trauma. Yes.
yeah, and one of the things that I would share is that I used to expect, like, I would be angry because my parents didn't teach that to me and didn't provide that to me as a child, and be like, what do they know? Oh my God, like, I have shitty parents. But then I came to a place where I thought, maybe God, we're all unique, we're all special, we all have something to offer. Maybe God just gave me this insight and this information to give back to them. Maybe I'm their teacher, maybe I'm their
Yep.
helper. And maybe it doesn't always have to be the parent that raises the child. Maybe it's the child can raise the parent,
True.
you know?
So to come back to the story with my dad, so what I did, so it was maybe a month after my mom's funeral. Like I stayed home for a long time. So she passed away in March, and I stayed up to May. So towards the end of April, beginning of May, like we were not on speaking terms. I went and stayed with my cousin because it was really bad. And so I wrote him a letter, and I said, "Look, I don't want to have to sever this relationship. Like I want you in my life, and now you are the only one that you have left also. I know, and I don't want us to. I want us to be on speaking terms. And look, next week I'm going back to the U.S., so it is your choice. We can keep this relationship going. Otherwise, I'm moving back to the U.S. and you won't see me anymore." And within an hour, maybe a couple hours of receiving my letter, he called me and he apologized. Um, and he was like, "I'm so sorry for the way that I've been treating you.
Wow.
I do want you in my life." And then he was like, "Please come back home."
Wow.
And so this is what I had to do. But even like I was not mean or anything. I said, "Hey, I want you in my life. I want you to know my girlfriend. I want us to have a relationship. I want you to come visit. I want when I come home, I want us to have a relationship because I'm the only person you have left."
Right.
um,
He wanted it too. He didn't know how to
he
do
didn't
it.
know how to do it exactly
Yeah.
because of his upbringing, and so then after that, every time I would go home, which I try to go every year, at least once a year, then he started opening up and and sharing things about his childhood. Like I knew a little bit, but not to the extent that what he has shared so far.
Yeah.
Um, and then oh
Has he ever been encouraged to like do any of his own work, like on himself, like with a coach or anything?
no, so my dad is old now. He's in his 80s. And also I believe it was 20. Basically, when I moved to the U.S., he got really sick. He got encephalitis, which is basically an inflammation of the brain, while he was on vacation with my mom. And after that, he became, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this name, aphasic, aphasia.
Uh-huh.
He had aphasia. So for the longest time, he couldn't talk. He had to learn how to walk as well. So it was a long recovery for him.
Yeah.
Um, and still to this day, even though we speak all the time, um, sometimes he will just tell me like, I feel so frustrated. I don't remember how to say these words. And it's frustrating because it's like it could be simple words, and I can relate because having lived in the U.S. so long myself now, I also sometimes don't remember how to speak French, but I feel like it's like this, like I do not remember how to say like a mug, and it's just so frustrating sometimes. Um, so I think he's being an older generation, and it also like even though he can take care of himself, but I think he thinks people relate to him differently because he's older, because he doesn't speak as well now. So
Right, and they lose some of their faculties and
yes,
everything.
and so I think this is what has been the hardest for him because he's somebody who's always done everything by himself his whole life. Um, and so for him to be seen as weak is really, 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 really hard. So
Yeah.
no, I don't think he will ever do any kind of work like therapy or
Yeah.
but I think he's definitely opening up. He's
Yeah.
definitely breaking down some walls. Um,
Yeah. I was just asking. My mom's 87. I can't see her going to a therapist, but it's interesting because and my dad passed away like 3 or 4 years ago, and he was 93. However, what's interesting is, everyone is evolving on at their own pace and their own
mhm,
level. So I have seen like changes in my mom that are part of her own personal evolutionary journey. And I just have to honor and respect it and not have the expectation that she's supposed to be something that I want her to be rather than
yeah,
just honoring who she is and allowing her. Because when we give that to others, we put that out there and we receive it as well. So it's really all about free will. We get to choose who and what we want to be in this lifetime.
yeah, I totally agree. And I also think it's to come back to expectation. It's not fair to put your expectations on others
Yeah,
because
just like they did when you were a
they did.
child,
Yeah.
right? They did their expectations of you onto them. So now you understand how that feels and you're not going to
Mhm.
be doing it to other people.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you heal the wound, you learn not to do it to other people. There are lots of unconscious, unawakened people who are not familiar with their own wounds. They're
Mhm.
buried, and then that's why they treat others in a
Totally.
way that maybe they were treated because they just think that's the way you just do it. This is like your time to you know um I remember just that mindset, like when you get older, like that somehow gives you the right to have it your way or something, like you've earned it.
Yeah.
And
So toxic.
that's not the way it is.
No, it's not.
Until you get someone like you and me who come in and they go, nope, I'm breaking the trauma, I'm breaking the
Exactly,
chain.
exactly. Yeah, it's funny. And also sometimes by doing our own work, we don't realize how much we can inspire or impact other people's lives. Um, like I would always remember like my friends back home, so it was funny because I moved, so they knew me as this person, right? This Luca. And then I moved to the US and then I come back for vacation. They're like, oh, something's changed. We like this new Luca, but
Yeah, who's this confident Luca?
exactly, but also he's a little weird. Like, because at the
Why is
time,
he talking like that?
exactly, why is he talking like this? And then what is that manifesting things he's
What
talking
does that
about? Law of
mean?
attraction, and everybody was making fun of me again. But this time I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna do me. You can get on board with it. You cannot get on board. I don't care. But
Right, you're missing out.
I kept talking about it, and I would say like, for example, we would go somewhere, and I would go, and all my friends were like, "Oh my gosh, how are we gonna find parking? That's gonna be like," and I was like, "I'm not even worried about this because I know when I get there, I'm gonna get a parking spot, and I would not fail. I would get a parking spot."
Rock star parking.
Yeah, and so people were like, after a while, they were like, "Okay, I want to know what you're doing." Especially what like my best friend. So I had this conversation with her recently, um, and she was like, "If it was not for you, I don't think I would have ever considered doing this type of work." So now she opened her own business. She's very successful in France. Not with coaching. She does something totally different. But she's also very interested in alternative medicine and modalities. Her thing is numerology. And she said, if I had not heard about all your stories about the law of attraction and how you attracted this and that, I would never have gotten into this. And then my other friends were like, they changed their diets. they were like before, especially we're as French people, we're renowned for good food and good beverages, and so little by little they were like made some changes, and they felt the energy in their in their lives, and they felt better, and they were able to do more things with their children. So I think we also like the work we do for ourselves is, yes, impacts us the most, but also all the people around us, like the ripple effect, right? Because
Yeah.
then you're going to talk to these people, like they're going to learn something, or just being around you, you just also the frequency, right? Because everything is energy and everything is frequencies. And so the aura, you touch way more people than if you were like in a negative mood. Like nobody wants to be around you, right? But when you're positive, then everybody wants that. They want
Yeah.
they want to be like you. They want to know what's going on.
And on the Oneness Junkie podcast, we talk about how we're all connected. And so
Yes.
when it's not just energy, but when your energy is positive, you help to transmute the energy to others in a positive way. And that's what the podcast is about. It's a global platform that can, I'm allowing the internet to take this message that we're sharing to anyone, anywhere that has access to it, that needs it. And I just kind of put it out there, and the universe, creator, God, whatever you want to call it, gets the message to the right people. So I'm hoping that, the message for today is able to get to the right people. And being positive is a big, big part of being happy and being joyful in your life. And you get to choose. We were talking about this. You get to choose, right? Which direction you want to be. Is there anything that you want to share, and kind of wrapping it up, that you would like to impart on people about your message as a mindset coach?
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me has been that there are no quick fixes, that you cannot seek your healing outside of you, like external things. That was, what I was doing a lot is, oh, maybe if I do this, I'm going to be happy. Maybe if I do that, I'm going to be happy. Maybe if I get this new shiny object, I'm going to get happier. But no, it's really the most important thing is to have compassion for yourself, to start loving yourself, to start recognizing all the good things you've had done and where you've been so far. Like it's really acknowledging your past, because without your past, you wouldn't be where you are today. Like I wouldn't be a coach today. You wouldn't be hosting this beautiful
Podcast.
podcast podcast. You learn, like you said earlier, we have a specific journey because we need to learn something. This is, the dharma. We need to, our karma is our dharma. And so really it's just like, yeah, my one message is love yourself. Take care of yourself, be compassionate with yourself, learn to be kind to yourself, learn to listen to yourself, and give yourself what you need when you need it.
That's beautiful. As you're talking, I'm looking at the little ticker that goes below it. Says spreading kindness and compassion at onenessjunkie.com. And I'm thinking, this is such a great alignment that I'm having you on the show because of your mindset. And this is something I've learned, in my own journey and my own struggles. And I had great tragedy to overcome. And, one of the things that I say on the podcast is that kindness and compassion, yeah, we want to extend it to others, but actually when you extend it to yourself first, it's almost like it naturally ends up emulating over to the others. And so I say on the podcast, when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. So the idea of, hiring someone like yourself, Luca, or a person that aligns with the things that you are wanting and aware of working on is an important part. Being able to have a coach or a guide or a helper or a therapist or whatever you want to call it, a person, a listening ear, someone who is going to hold the space for your ability to dig deep and to help you through it. I mean, sometimes you need someone to kind of throw the rope down in the well and say, help me get out of the well. Like I went too deep, now I need a little help. So having someone on hand
Absolutely.
to do that is always nice. That's why there's so many coaches out there in the world, right?
Yeah, that's so true. Like the accountability, somebody who holds space for you and who listens without judgment. That's really important. That's the great qualities of a coach, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Luca, I've had a wonderful time visiting with you, getting to know you. And I didn't say this at the beginning, and I usually do, but I didn't know Luca before. And so this was my opportunity to get to know him along with you guys. And I love how, by the way, guys, like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, brings the right people to be on the show. So it's so fun because I just am open to who needs to be next. And Lucas showed up. So it's fun to have you on the show. And I'm glad you're here today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. And thank you for sending me that message out of the blue.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it when my story, when I know that my story has touched somebody, and then when they let me know, it's even like double the pleasure.
Yeah. And
Because you
now
can get
we're sharing it with everyone.
exactly, because you can get, even though I know why I'm sharing my story, because I want to help people. Obviously, I want people to feel more confident and love themselves more. But there's always a little bit of fear when you put yourselves out to millions of people, right?
Yeah.
So
You don't even know how you're going to react to it, right?
exactly. So to receiving love from total strangers, becoming friends. That's one of the perks of being vulnerable.
Yes.
Because
Well, I
like you
hope.
said, you never know what comes out of any opportunities.
That's right. You just make yourself available, right? And as I was telling you before we hit the record button, I'm doing this to hopefully inspire others who have a calling, who have a story, who have a yearning to make their pain powerful and helping others. If they've overcome their journey and they feel like they have something to offer and to contribute, I want to inspire people to follow that, because when we all follow our true calling, we are more joyful, we are happier, we are more in freedom and contentment, and life is just better, Luca, isn't it?
Totally.
Do you choose this way versus the old life?
I don't want to go back to old Luca.
I will say it's
So,
always evolving, right? So like
true.
you learn new skills and then you have these wonderful skills to continue to deal with life, because it's not that life doesn't stop happening. I mean, you're going to have more loss. You're going to lose your dad. You're going to have this and that, like things happen. And that's why they say live in the present moment, because you never know what the future holds. So that's the message I want to leave for today, is to just be reminded to live in this present moment and choose wisely.
Yeah,
Because you're a powerful creator, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm glad you called me a friend. So now we're friends, and let's keep it that way. And hang on, I'm going to say goodbye to the audience, and we'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Thanks, Luca. Bye. We've reached the end of this episode. If you'd like to continue with this inspirational journey, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out. If you're a self-proclaimed oneness junkie, get yourself a t-shirt and spread the message of oneness in your community. And finally, if you have a story to share or know someone that should be a guest on this podcast, contact us at onenessjunkie.com. See you next time. And remember, when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. Compassion starts with you and me.